I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004. Great. Let's tell everybody who you are.
Name's Nick Kelly. I was a PFC in Ramadi, Iraq in 2004. I got meritoriously promoted to Lance Corporal. I was there. I was an 0331 machine gunner with Mobile Assault Platoon 3. Yeah, that's it.
That's an interesting place to start, actually. I didn't know that you got meritoriously promoted.
Combat meritorious, yeah.
Nice. What specific action got you meritoriously promoted? Do you remember?
It was after the Battle of Ramadi, the first day, April 6th, after our engagements there. I got combat meritorious promotion.
Nice. And you're a machine gunner, so you were behind 50 or Mark?
Mark 19 the entire time.
Nice. So you probably deserve that meritorious promotion. That was, I think, probably our most valuable weapon.
Yes, it's devastating in urban warfare, as we found out.
Yeah. Most people that are probably listening to this, or most of our guys, so they've been there and they kind of know what it looks like. But there's probably a few people who have never been to Iraq or Ramadi specifically. The walls there are all built out of stones. And so bullets don't penetrate stones. They all just reflect off. But goddamn, that Mark 19 was great. Either it would penetrate, which sometimes it did through those clay walls, but occasionally you could just bounce it off the back, and the shrapnel splash also wounded the enemy. So it was really good as far as that went.
Yes, and I actually also got really good at putting them through windows. So I think a lot of my rounds would land inside of rooms.
Nice. Yeah, see, that's perfect. Yeah, and then you get splash damage. That's great. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I said my piece. Please start wherever you want. I was just waxing poetic about my favorite Mark 19.
Nice. So I guess we'll start on our way over there. I listened to some of the other podcasts by Latham and some of the other guys. He was telling a story about traveling over there on the C-130. We were all, crammed into that plane like cattle. He was telling that story about when they were passing that liquor bottle around, and it made me remember I was actually sleeping, and someone nudged me and woke me up. I was like kind of like dreamy state, and I looked at that liquor bottle and just shook my head no, and they passed it to the next guy. The last thing I wanted was a drink.
Yeah.
So how soon did you get to? Were you one of the group that got dropped like in December, January? Or did you come earlier than that to the unit?
We got there right. I'm trying to remember. I think maybe not. It wasn't January. It was before the new year. Maybe October. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Maybe November.
We had a little bit of time to get to know some of the guys before we.
Yes. Yeah.
Jumped
definitely.
over.
I feel like in my head, this is the only thing I remember of our workup together. So I was initially on camp guard, but when I came back from camp guard, we did a combined op where it was all the 0331s, and we fired the 50s and Marks and some 240. And I'm pretty sure you were there for that. And that was either October or November. And it might've been the first, it was just out on like one of the back ranges in between San Onofre and San Mateo.
Yeah, that whole time frame was real like fuzzy in my mind. But yeah, I just remember being a boot and getting treated like shit, and being the new guy and just running around and doing all the stuff new guys do. So,
do you remember much of the workup? Anything that stands out as either useful or not useful, or shitty, or anything?
No, I mean, I do. I remember sitting in a lot of like machine gun positions. I think Mount Warfare was still kind of new to us, so I don't think we were doing the things that we actually ended up doing in Ramadi. A lot of it was just setting up machine guns and laying behind the machine gun while the dismounts kind of did their dismount things. Yeah. Just doing a lot of range cards, setting up, kind of mapping out where machine gun positions are and stuff like that. Stuff that we actually didn't really even do when we were over there, but I guess nobody knew the better.
Well, we didn't know what we were doing, and we also didn't even know where we were going initially. So that's probably part of it.
Right.
All right. So you talked about flying over on the C-141, and then what next?
I just remember landing in Kuwait, and I think we did our acclimation with the heat and stuff, and just kind of doing like mock patrols and trying to spot IEDs and just trying to get us ready for that. I think we did that for about a month, if I remember correctly.
It was shorter than that. It was only about 2 weeks. We flew over February 16th, and then we crossed the line of departure March 6th. And so,
right,
yeah, and most of us anyway.
Yeah, I remember we were on that Air Force base, and I remember I had my birthday while we were there. I think I turned 20 years old while we were there at that Air Force base waiting to fly over.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah. So did you
quasi nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all slipping in the ice doing formation runs.
Oh, you're talking about in New Jersey in the
New Jersey.
Our wonderful snowstorm before we landed in the desert at 100 degrees heat.
Correct.
That's funny. Did anybody get you any birthday presents while you're in New Jersey?
No, I don't even think I told anybody.
That's smart. Usually you just get an ass beating.
Yes, correct.
That's good. So when you got to Kuwait, did you guys already have ideas of what teams you were going to be in, or did you have you guys separated out in any way?
Yeah, we were all already in our squads and everything. It was already done. I think the only thing there was confusion on was what weapon systems each platoon would have. So I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning, a lot of people thought the Mark 19 was going to be kind of a worthless weapon at such close quarters. Yeah. So a lot of the platoons were trying to get rid of their Marks to get, light and medium machine guns. Yeah. And then obviously that changed after our first engagement. Everybody wanted their Mark 19s back. But I still had the Mark 19 all the way while we were in Kuwait and everything. But yeah, all the squads and everything were divvied out.
Who were you with?
I was in the lead vehicle. Our driver was Daniels. We had the platoon commander, which was Gunny Crutcher. Yeah. We had one of our medics was in the vehicle. And I think that was just us up in the front vehicle.
Okay. And I don't know if I remember both of your medics. I know you had Dialka. Who else did you have?
So he was the Filipino one, and then we had a light-skinned black guy. I can't remember his name. I should know his name. I was with him the entire time, but I just can't think of his name right now.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's 20 years on. Sometimes things don't pop back. You just called him Doc. That's the same as I did with all our docs. Yeah, they were always Doc. They didn't have a name.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And did you stay in the lead truck the whole time? Was it all, or did you guys shift around during the deployment?
So we stayed in the same vehicles, or at least I did, up in the front. And I was listening to one of the other podcasts. We were talking about the day that Sergeant Condi was killed. Yeah. And there was a mix up in vehicles then. And I if we get to that part later on, I can kind of clarify why that happened.
Oh, sure. We can talk about it now, or we could wait till afterwards. You can go wherever you want, man.
Yeah. So I'll tell that quick story real quick. So yeah, the day that Sergeant Condi was killed. So basically up until that point, a lot of the other machine gunner and driver crews were kind of getting little breaks here and there. Me and my driver up in the front vehicle, we never got any breaks. So it got to the point where I went to my squad leader and I'm like, hey, when are we going to get a break? Like, we're out on every patrol up in the front, It reminds me of that scene from Platoon. Anyways, so that day they gave us our breaks. We got to sleep in that morning, and that was the morning that the convoy got hit with the idea where Sergeant Condi was killed.
Oh, so you guys are back at Hurricane Point.
Yes, correct. So I remember we got to sleep in, so to speak. I wasn't really sleeping in, but I remember someone from headquarters platoon came into our hooch and basically told us, hey, the platoon got hit. There's injuries. Sergeant Condi's been hit. And I remember at the time, and they didn't say he was killed, and they didn't say the severity of his wounds. So we just assumed, oh, shit, he got wounded again. He's going to get another Purple Heart. If he's lucky, he's going to get to go home. So we kind of just went back to sleep. We went and ate chow that morning. I think it was me and Daniel as the driver. And then when we got back that morning is when they kind of brought the platoon together. And we were first kind of told how bad the attack was.
Huh.
So you guys, I forget, it was Cox with third?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this goes back to how you guys left more or less a fire watch behind.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh, okay. That's so fascinating. We didn't do that. At least I don't remember us doing that at all.
I don't even know if it's truly a fire watch. I don't even know what we were watching because I know we were sleeping, and if we were on fire watch, we wouldn't have been sleeping. I think it was just kind of like just a little day break, and it just seemed like everybody else was getting it except me and my driver. So I got the squad leader. I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's our turn. So I guess he listened that day, but yeah, that's why there was a mix up in the order of the machine gunners were, obviously somebody else was in the front that day that typically wouldn't have been there.
Sure. Well, that fills in a gap. Absolutely. So interesting. Yeah. So before, we'll just rewind, and before all that happened, when you guys went up from Kuwait to Iraq, did you drive up or did you fly up?
So we drove up. I remember that night we all staged up those big, huge berms on the Iraq-Kuwait border. Yep. And then sometime in the middle of the night, we pushed, across the border. Mm-hmm. And I remember we just drove all night. That's actually the coldest I've ever been in my entire life. Yeah. I was in the back of a high back, and the wind was brutal, and it was just cold all through the night. And I think we drove all the way, and then I think we went to the city of Babylon, where we got hit with our first IED. Not us, but the convoy did. I could hear it explode out into the front. So yeah.
And when that hit, did the convoy stop? Did they pull off? Were you guys part of a security element, or were you just riding?
I can't remember. It was such a large element. I mean, the IED hit so far up to the front, I didn't even see the explosion. I mean, I think it was a large contingent of us that were moving through to Ramadi.
Yeah, I've tried to look.
A lot of us.
Yeah, I've tried to look back at some of the pictures, and I saw a few pictures of like the convoy pre-staging, and as by best count, there was like 35 vehicles. That's including like 7 tons. So that's miles of truck going down.
Right.
So you could have been a mile away from the IED even,
Yeah, no telling.
Yeah.
Eventually I would love to know a little bit more about how that all worked, because did we go up in just a long convoy? I don't think that could be right. And so we must have gone in phases, but I can't remember at all how that worked out. I mean, other than the ones that flew up, I mean, there was different.
I know there were 2 convoys. I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly anything else, but I know there were 2 convoys.
I didn't even know guys flew up. I thought we all drove. How dark I am.
I found out people flew up during this podcast. I didn't have any idea either. That was a surprise to me. I remember people arriving at different times, but I didn't realize they flew in.
Right.
So what about your first memories of like kind of getting into Ramadi? Any thoughts when you first got in there, or anything that struck you, or anything that happened?
Yeah. I just remember, when we were driving in, I think we were some of the first major Americans into the city. And I remember kind of, everyone's out there just staring at us, and we're wearing this new digital camouflage. I'm not even sure that they even knew we were American, Marines or soldiers. But I just remember the city being packed and everyone just out on the road, just watching us and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too, going down through the marketplace.
Right, yeah. Very hectic.
What do you remember the first couple times outside the wire for you guys? Do you remember your first time that you engaged? Yeah,
the first time I actually got an engagement was April 6th. I know there was some other, I think there was one other machine gunner platoon that got into engagement. I think it was a pretty light engagement in hindsight, but I think everyone's pretty much first major contact was April 6th.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll get into April 6th. So that morning, I remember we got woken up and told to get in the vehicles and we're leaving. In hindsight, it's kind of funny how a lot of the times we went out and did stuff, we weren't even told what we were going to go do. I just remember, hey, get in the truck, we're leaving, and then had no idea that we're, headed into hell pretty much. So we get into the convoy, we take off. I think our platoon was going to the government center. I think there was a casualty. One of the 0311s was injured. We get to the government center, and I remember there was gunfire around the government center. I didn't really see much. I know they called up one of the other machine gunners to engage a building that had some insurgents in it. And that's when Lance Corporal Pepper, his vehicle went up to the front. He engaged the building with a 50 cal machine gunner. I just remember being really jealous. Like, why did this guy gets to go shoot and I don't get to shoot my machine gun? Little did I know I was going to be burning through some rounds in about 30 minutes from there. But so I'm not sure what they did with that casualty because we didn't take him with us, whoever it was that was injured, because from there we moved to the south side of Easy Street and we came up that way. So,
yeah, you talk a little bit about not knowing what kind of mission you were going on. And I've heard a few different people say that. I was in a different position where I almost always knew what was going on. How did you deal with that? You're just like, all right, I'm focused. I'm going to be a machine gunner. Or was the uncertainty a lot? Did it overwhelm you at times?
No, it was probably better not knowing what you're about to get into in hindsight. But
nice. Yeah.
I mean, the writing was on the wall because when we left the government center, I could hear the battle raging on Easy Street. And it was, I don't know how many blocks away it was, but I could tell you to this day, I'm 41 years old. To this day, that is the most eerie feeling that I'm getting chills thinking about it. You could hear the machine gun fire, the rockets exploding, and we're basically moving towards that. So, you're getting pumped up in your head, you're moving towards this danger. And it was like a big storm and you're getting closer and closer and closer to it. And then, we come up near the soccer stadium on the south side of Easy Street. That's actually where I saw my first two insurgents. I think some of the guys talked about it in the other podcasts. But so I'm in the lead vehicle, and we see two insurgents bebopping across the street. They had no idea where they had their AK-47 slung, and it was kind of weird. We stopped, and I looked at them, and they looked at us. It was kind of like, two adversaries, both walking through the woods and getting spooked by each other. So I just remember I leveled my Mark 19 at them and gave some ammunition, gave some bursts with the grenades, and they took off running into the building. And then the other 5 machine guns in the platoon, we all lit the building up. I'm not sure what happened to those two guys, but I just thought it was odd that, we all kind of stared at each other and it was like, all right, here it goes. It's like, the old West when
that's exactly what, yeah. That's what I was thinking of, is like a cowboy movie.
Yeah. Who can draw their 6-shooter first? So we engaged that, and then the fight was raging up the street, and our platoon, we just started trucking up the street and engaging targets.
Nice. You remember any further details after that, or anything that kind of stands out?
Yeah, certainly. So we're going up the street, and we get off a side street, and we link up with. So what it was Golf Company 3rd Platoon was pinned down in a house in a courtyard. Mm-hmm. And they were taking, heavy casualties. They had a couple of guys that were KIA. And so we pull off on a side street. And I remember Captain Bronzy at the time was down there with his radio operator and his guys. Mm-hmm. And there was an insurgent laying there. And he was like, I guess Captain Bronzy had shot him to the chest. And the insurgent was taking like this agonal breathing. And he was saying, something in Arabic. It's over and over. I don't know if he was praying or what, but I remember the flies would land on his face, and every time you take a breath, the flies would fly away and then land back on him. But that's kind of a memory that sticks out. As this is going on, everyone's firing up and down the street. The rocket RPGs are coming down the street, and I remember basically our whole platoon started moving up Easy Street, and my Humvee and me and the driver, we were left there on the back street. And I remember we were sitting there for like 20 minutes and there's nobody around us. And I looked down at my driver, Daniels. I'm like, I think we need to move. Like, we need to link up with the platoon. We're by ourselves. In hindsight, I don't know how me and him weren't overrun by like a squad of insurgents or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went back onto the main street and we linked up with the rest of the platoon.
It's a weird feeling looking around, not seeing anybody else around, especially when there's bullets flying.
Right. And, we're boots. So it's like, we don't do shit until we're told, like, no initiative.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this ain't right. If we get yelled at, whatever. And I remember when we were driving off, I told Daniels, I'm like, hey, don't run that guy over. He's next to us dying. I didn't want the Humvee to run over his head or anything.
Yeah.
So we went around that guy and we linked up with the rest of the platoon.
You're detailing some very vivid memories. I'm curious
I've got a lot more.
No, that's good. And I'm going to pick your brain a little more because it seems like a little bit more episodic memory than some other folks do. So I'm curious, when you're looking at this battlefield space, how far away is like the farthest you can see? Like, are you looking at a 500 yards, a half a mile? How big do you think you can see?
Probably a couple hundred yards. I remember a lot of the 0311s were out on the ground on Easy Street, and they were just firing up and down the street. And I had, at this point, I hadn't engaged. Well, I engaged those two insurgents earlier, but I had not like seen an insurgent and then fired my weapon at that insurgent. Where I strike him or anything up to this point. I mean, that changes in 5 minutes, but so we moved back up the street, and then I remember we hook a left on another side street, and that's where that golf company 3rd platoon was pinned down. Mm-hmm. And I remember we're going up the street, and I think that's where maybe Sergeant Condi was shot, and where our ground elements were advancing on the enemy up those side streets. So we come up that side street, and I remember Latham, I believe, was telling the story where there was a Kevlar on the ground, and it was filled with blood. And we were picking. It was one of the Marines that was killed, and they were handing the gear up to us. So this Marine had an M16 with an M203, so they hand that up to me. I think Latham or someone, they take that helmet and they throw it up to me, or maybe it was Cox. But the thing was filled with blood, and I remember it was flying through the air, and I caught it, and the blood spilt out everywhere all over the Humvee. It had a bullet hole through the Kevlar, and so I threw that Kevlar down at the bottom of my feet. And then right after that happened, we round the corner, and there's this Army colonel. I think he was a colonel. He was a high-ranking Army guy. And do y'all remember the Army being out there? This is the first time I saw them there.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the first time. I mean, realistically, that was the first time they had come out with everything.
Right. And I remember seeing this Army colonel, and I'm like, what the fuck is the Army doing out here? When did they get out here? I had no idea. And as soon as that happened, a taxi cab come around the corner, and we later learned they were using these taxis to bring in fighters. Mm-hmm. And this taxi come around the corner, and again, he sees us, and we see him, and he hits the brakes, and we're staring at each other. And that Army colonel looks up at me. He's like, "Engage that vehicle." And I'm like, "Okay. Sure, yes, sir." I had no idea why he wanted me to do this, but I'm like, if a colonel's telling me to do it, then this PFC is going to do it. So I let off a burst with that Mark 19, and I dropped probably half of that full belt, 32 round belt, into that vehicle, and these grenades were hitting the windshield. I pretty much every one of my rounds impacted that, and I mean that was a pretty close shot to maybe 50 yards or so. But I think there was 4 guys in there, and they were all smoked. So. It's pretty wild.
That's a pretty close engagement with a Mark 19 as well. Like that's the technical aspect of firing it that close is more difficult than people understand, because it's not like a bullet. It does fly kind of like a bullet, but it doesn't fly perfectly like a bullet.
It's got some arch to it.
Yeah. It's like firing water balloons, man. It's a weird gun. Yeah.
Yes. So I engaged that vehicle, and they brought out 2 wounded Marines to put inside of our vehicle for us to pull out. And I think this was touched on by a couple of the other guys in the other interviews. But one of them, I believe his name was Gentili. He was an 0311, I believe. He was shot to the face.
Yep.
I remember a lot. Most of his jaw was pretty jacked up, and they had his face bandaged up. And there was another Marine. And I may be messing the name up. He was a Hispanic Marine. Maybe his name was Ortiz. I'm not sure. But I think his hand was gone. And I don't know if a grenade had gone off in his hand, but his hand was bandaged up, and he was down below me on the bottom left. And I remember those 2 guys, we had pulled them out. So.
And from there, did you guys stay on the battlefield? Did you guys start doing evacs?
Yeah, so we started. I guess we got all the people. We rescued them and we got them out. So we went back out to the main street, and I'm not sure where those 2 guys that were wounded got out. But I remember there was another Marine that was he was killed, and I don't know if it was Halal. I'm sorry if I'm getting some of the names mixed up, but he was killed. He was shot to the head. So, and this is where Pepper, I think, was talking about it, how they needed some people to lift him up off the street. I think he had a poncho liner over him, and they needed him put into the high back. So I jumped out of the turret of the Mark and ran over there and grabbed his shoulders. I believe Pepper grabbed him by the legs, and we put him up into the high back. And I remember vividly that poncho getting moved off of him as we were putting him up. And I remember that Marine's head slumped over, and I saw a gunshot wound to his head, and a lot of the contents inside of the head spilt out all over my boots. And it's the first time I'd ever seen a dead Marine. So
I don't want to assume, but maybe that was the first time you ever seen a dead body.
That was taken in a violent manner. Yes. Yeah.
That's go ahead.
Well, when you say that you were doing some of those evacs, were you guys going as a full platoon element, or were you guys breaking off and going 2 trucks at a time?
So if my memory serves me correctly, that high back where we put the KIA, my memory's coming back. The other 2 Marines that were wounded also, I believe, got into that high back. So that high back, I believe, took off with another contingent. I'm not sure. They left, and we stayed on Easy Street for a while longer. I'm not sure how long, but so no, they were taking these wounded and the killed. They were taking them out of the battlefield pretty quick.
Okay.
Quickly, I guess, quickish.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then you guys stuck around and were advancing, my understanding, down Easy Street to the north. That was, again, that's my understanding. You tell me. Yes.
After that, when we loaded the Marine up, a lot of the rest of my memory of that day kind of goes blank. I don't know if we kept engaging or if the kind of the battle was coming to an end. But I do know, I think we advanced further up north up the street. I don't remember a whole lot after that.
Okay. Well, what do you remember after that?
Looking back, what's funny is I don't know if you guys experienced the same thing, is this whole thing felt like it took 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And when you look at your watch, you realize 5 hours passed. Yeah. And it's like, it's the weirdest thing. I can't explain it to anybody. It's like time dilation. I don't know, but it seemed to happen so quick, but we were out there for probably 4 hours, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. As far as I know, official timing was, somewhere around 6 hours.
Okay.
And, at least for my experience of it, and you tell me if this is similar, when you're in it, it's almost like time kind of slows down. Like you're a little more noticing of details and you're noticing where things are and you're looking around. But you're right. When you look down at your watch, you're like, oh, we've been doing this for an hour or whatever. And you're right. It's been all day.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you remember getting back on April 6th, back to base?
Yeah, so we get back. I remember we get back, and they had forgot to shut the phone centers down. So me and someone else, we go wander over to the phones, and it's not locked up. So we go in there and make our phone calls. I remember I called my dad, and we were talking about everything we just talked about, and it was kind of funny. It was like after we got off the phone, it was good for him to know that I wasn't killed or hurt. But yeah. But it's funny, they got shut down right after we were leaving the call center, and I think they were shut down for several days. But
yeah,
I remember doing a lot of vehicle maintenance. So after the battle on April 6th, they left it to the drivers. We were all boots for them to go out and clean the vehicles up. So I remember I went out there and helped Daniels clean the vehicle. I remember we had to use water bottles to clean all the blood out of the floorboard. I remember they had like drainage holes in the floorboard of the Humvees. And I remember we using water bottles to clean the brain matter and the skull fragments that came out of that helmet, kind of washing them down that drain hole. So.
Yeah, it's we're right next to a river. You could easily had a pump that would have pumped out water and had a hose. There was no place to do anything like that. If you wanted to wash out gear, it's a fucking 1.5 liter water bottle, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Or if you were lucky, the shower tank containers were full and you could maybe use the shower, but couldn't use the shower on a Humvee. So that shit doesn't work. Right. Yeah. It just very weird system that we didn't have any way to do things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So you did a bunch of vehicle maintenance. I imagine you guys cleaned up weapons and you re-outfitted with ammo.
Yes, yeah, we did. I was out there religiously cleaning that Mar 19. It was kind of my my away space to kind of clear my head. Was sit out there and dismantle the machine gun and clean it, and yeah.
It's funny. Everybody found something to do where they could be away from somebody for a minute and look like you're busy.
Yes.
Yeah. Hanging out with your new best friend, the Mark 19, is
yes.
It's a good place to be.
Definitely.
Cool, man. And did you sleep that night?
Yeah, I don't remember much after the vehicle maintenance. I I just remember the next day where we were back at it again. And I remember thinking, like, how long are they going to keep this shit up? I mean, I guess we're going to do this every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, April 7th comes around and we're back in the thick of shit again.
Anything stand out to you from the 7th that you can remember offhand?
Yeah, we got I don't know how we wound up over there. I think we were doing missions that morning. We had a major ambush on Route Nova. I'm sure you remember Route Nova. It paralleled the Euphrates. So we're going down Route Nova, and there's a village off to the left. And I remember we got ambushed there, and they opened the ambush by shooting an RPG, and they shot it at my Humvee. So they shot the RPG off, and it landed and hit the berm right next to my truck. So we hit the brakes. We all rotate left, and the dismount the Humvees, and they assault the village, and we're given suppressing fire with the machine guns. And I remember there was a guy up in the trees of the palm trees. And I remember the vehicle commander, he's saying, hey, they're up in the trees. So I pretty much engaged the top of the palm trees. And I was just raking the top of those palm trees. And I remember all the palms falling out of the trees. And then this guy falls out of the tree. He must have fell 30 feet, and he hit the ground, and there he is. He's mortally wounded, and he's doing the agonal breathing, and I shot him out of the palm tree.
That's a story I remember, and I remember you guys coming back and saying there were 2 motherfuckers belted into the top of the palm tree, and I was like, that's the stupidest tactic ever. There's no escaping. That's a true suicide mission.
They may have been farmers. I'm pretty sure it was a father-son duo. I don't know why you'd put yourself up there, but they quickly were taken down from the tree. Probably not in a way they wanted, but
no. All right, sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
So that's when Cummings was shot. Cummings, he was a saw gunner. He got shot through the back, and the bullet come out underneath his nipple. And he dropped his saw, and at this point we're advancing backwards to the vehicles. Now I guess they wouldn't be advancing, so they're coming back to the vehicles. I remember the 50 cals were going off, and they were cutting those palm trees in half. So we get our wounded guy, we get him in the Humvee, and we head up Route Nova, and we're going to get Cummings into surgery.
Yeah.
So I remember there was we were blocked up by traffic up near the dam where the machine gun position was. And I remember we were next to a bus, and I remember I pulled my pistol out and I'm pointing it at the people in the bus, and I'm like, move this fucking bus. They're passengers. What are they going to do? But anyways, that memory sticks out in my head. I'm yelling at these people. It was probably a teenage girl sitting in there. I remember her, and I'm pointing the gun at her, and they're probably terrified. Anyways, they moved the bus, they moved the vehicles, and we got Cummings into surgery. So
that's good.
Did you guys roll back out? Or did you guys hit Hurricane Point?
My memory is we got to I think Charlie Med. We dropped Cummings off. And I want to say we may have been done for the day. I don't remember much after that day. I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch. But, I remember getting Cummings. He got into surgery, and I don't remember much else after that.
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point we get to talk to him. I'd like to hear what his journey was from getting evac'd and how much he remembers. But I haven't had a chance to reach out to him yet, or he hasn't reached out to me. So hopefully we'll talk to him soon.
Well, I remember he was gone for like 4 days, and we thought he was gone like for the rest of the deployment. So I remember we were rat fucking his stuff, like taking his Game Boy games and his CDs. And I remember like 5 days later, we wake up and he's laying in his bed, and we're like, "You're back already?" We had to give him all of his stuff back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like it was longer than 4 or 5 days. Wasn't he gone for a couple weeks? I don't know. Anyway,
I remember being fast, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's hilarious. You guys are like divvying up his shit. Like, well, fuck it, gone. He's going home. We're going to take his shit.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. So then after that, after the 7th, there was some little minor shit that we were all still a part of. Like April 8th, there was County Fair, which was a small cordon search. And then April 10th was the bigger one. That was they called the first bug hunt. And that was up in the north of the city. You remember anything out of there?
Yes. So We were in some village. I don't know what we were doing. The ground elements were doing their thing, and we're posted up on security. I remember we got attacked, and I remember the dismounts were charging towards this berm, and I think I may have been the one that wounded Latham and haven't known for the last 20 years. But the dismounts are charging, and they're like, "Hey, Kelly, give suppressing fire." So I'm giving like defilade fire over the top of this berm, and looking back on it, like completely dangerous. Like I'm putting these grenades like right over the top of this berm, probably very unnecessary. Well, a couple of my grenades impact the berm where the Marines are charging up. And then I remember they hit the ground. They're yelling back like "ceasefire, ceasefire." So yeah, I remember that. And then I remember there was a couple insurgents in a field, and they were taking pop shots at us. I'm assuming the turret gunners. And we're basically bounding through this field, and we end up catching up to these two guys that were in the house. They found them. They were all sweaty, and they had I think some bolt action rifles with them. And yeah.
And so did you guys take those guys into custody and take them out, or did they shoot them, or what happened from there?
They were taken alive. I'm not sure what happened to them. They were put in one of the vehicles, and I think we linked back up with the main element inside of the village, and I'm sure they were handed off to someone there.
Yeah, April 10th was the first time I remember people getting handed over to what they called human extraction teams, where it was Marines that were trained by Intel to do like interrogation. And then eventually if those guys found anything, they got sent over to like the actual prisons where there were real like federally trained interrogators. But they were like the first line of interrogation, which I always thought was interesting. I don't know, like I don't know. If you had an insurgent who was especially crafty and just didn't want to tell you anything, I don't know how that kind of trained Marine was going to get anything out of him, but I don't know. That was what the first time I had seen them was on the 10th.
Yeah. And I remember also on the 10th, there was another, I don't know if it was Golf or Echo. There was an element from another company that was under attack. That's when I saw the Cobra gunships flying overhead. Yep. I believe it was that day. And we could hear the battle raging, and we're trying to get through this ravine or this creek. And I remember it was real muddy, and some kind of projectile landed in the mud right in front of our Humvee. I don't know if it was like a mortar round, but it didn't explode. And I remember smoke coming out of it. And I remember Sergeant Lashard ran up and stuck his head over the hole and was looking down in the hole. And I'm thinking, it's probably not a smart idea. I don't know if it was like if an errant RPG, something landed vertically down into the mud in front of our truck and didn't blow up, but very strange.
The number of stories that everybody has, but that I've heard out of you guys from Map 3 also, especially, is like, I should be dead because this thing happened.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny. Like, I mean, now 20 years when people are not dead, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. What do you remember after that? What, anything after April or in later, like the later weeks of April?
No, nothing really sticks out after April 10th until maybe kind of when the summer hit. It seemed like it kind of picked up against some other engagements. I think in late July there was a major engagement. That's where that famous footage where that car bomb goes off on Michigan on our convoy. I think it was on like CNN or something. Yeah. I don't know if it was the 29th or the 21st. It's somewhere late July. I guess we get called back. Do you want me to talk about that now?
Sure, if you want to. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was July 21st was the Saddam's Mosque one, and then July 28th was your platoon and my platoon engaged. And the thing that was notable about that is we were in the south of the city, and the Cobras were supposed to come back us up because we were getting heavy hit from really high rooftops, and it was buildings that were not impossible to clear, but really fucking hard to clear. Right. And the Cobra, the pilot got shot, and they ended up having to go back to TQ Air Base. We never did get air support, and we ended up having to clear those buildings. So that was what I remember from the 28th.
I don't remember what his real name was or his official name was, but his call sign was Cookie. Because
Colonel David Green.
There you go.
That was the pilot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, shot and killed, and he would by small arms. Even it was by like AK spray or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, he was killed in the Cobra?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Yeah. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, the bullet went through the canopy and killed him, and the co-pilot was in control and flying.
Oh, geez. I haven't even heard that before.
Yeah.
So
anyway, you were talking about, sorry, I hijacked your story.
No. So I remember we're hauling ass down Route Michigan, and I saw a car parked up on the side, and I remember thinking, I wonder if that's a car bomb. And then at this point, it's like, well, fuck it. If it's a car bomb, it's a car bomb. So I just, whatever. We went right past it, and I remember I turned around and looked back, and the next vehicle that passed it, the damn thing explodes. And that's where they had the camera footage with Lachard, and he's in there screaming. And there's dust all inside we didn't really do much there. I mean, the car bomb exploded. I guess we evaluated everything. Nobody was hurt. Jumped back in the car and the trucks. And that's when we went up to where Saddam's mosque is, where that traffic circle's at. I think there's more war footage from the news there. But we're moving up near the traffic circle. And I remember looking over, and this fat insurgent wearing a man dress comes running out, and he's got an RPG on his back. And he aims the RPG and fires it. It hits the wall in front of my vehicle. And I remember I aimed in on him, try to engage, and the Mark 19 jams. So I remember using my fist. I'm like uppercutting the side of the Mark 19 to get the top, the feed tray cover open. I got it open. I cleared the malfunction. It got the Mark back up and running and started engaging that. It was like a high-rise building right there where that guy had run out from. And I just started hitting with grenades. I was hitting the top of it with grenades, the windows. That's where Pepper, I believe, shot that 155 artillery shell. They had an IED that was there. That didn't explode. He shot that thing like danger close. And I remember that scared the hell out of me when that thing blew up. But so we moved up the street, kind of towards Combat Outpost, and there was an alleyway where this insurgent was posted up with a machine gun. And as the dismounts are running past the alley, this guy would light up his machine gun. So they called for a heavy machine gun to come up and give fire. So we pull up to the alleyway. I'm looking, and there's like a big pile of sand. Like, when they do construction, they pile sand up. So this insurgent's got a PKM machine gun he's got set up behind that berm. And so I see him set up there, and I let off with the Mark 19, get him. We move up that alleyway to kind of assess the damage that my machine gun did. And when we got up there, I remember he had his ammo can, his sandals. He had a bandolier full of grenades. I remember I jumped out the turret, took all that stuff. I still have that stuff actually at my desk at work. But I took his PCAN machine gun ammo can, took his sandals. I remember I got back in the Humvee, and I'm back up in the turret, and there's all these goats walking around, and I'm taking the shell casings for the Mark, and I'm like throwing them at the goats. And one of the goats walks up and starts chewing on the Mark 19 shell casing. I thought it was kind of funny. Yeah. So I just remembered another engagement we had on April 7th. It kind of slipped my mind a minute ago, but I remember we were working our way back to the combat outpost, and we came to a T intersection, and there was some insurgents around the T intersection. They were barricaded behind a car, and I remember we were looking up, and there was a saw gunner, an 0311 with a saw. He was kind of peeping from the corner, and he was engaging these insurgents, and they'd fire back. They're firing back and forth at each other. And I remember Latham was like, "Hey, get the Mark 19 up here." So I told Daniels, I said, "Hey, fly into this T intersection and hit the brakes, and just stay still." So we fly up in the intersection. He hits the brakes, and I remember I'm looking at this car that's right, probably danger close, probably 50 yards from us. And Latham's like, "Hey, engage them." And I was like, "I don't see anybody. Where are they?" Well, there was 4 or 5 of them hiding behind the car. And as soon as I said that, they come up from the top of the car, and they start mag dumping with the AK onto our Humvee. And then they try to take off running. And I gave them, a 32 round burst from that Mark 19. And as all 5 of them were running away, they got cut down from behind. So it was pretty wild. That was pretty intense.
Yeah.
So yeah. So coming out of the 7th and 6th, 7th, 8th, all that, do you remember did you as a platoon make any major changes to the way that you deployed, set yourselves up, ran your operations, or?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I was kind of more in line to what the machine gunners were doing with with the machine gun tactical side of things, and we kind of pretty much stayed the course. As far as the dismounts, I'm not sure. I don't remember a whole lot of change up from that.
Yeah, I imagine, and you guys had Staff Sergeant Raposo, and
Yes.
so he had been career machine gunner and SOI instructor and all that stuff, and so mobile machine gun employment was something he had been doing for years, and so I imagine that was you just stuck with that, like you were a mobile machine gun position,
right?
Did you guys when you were carrying? Now I am curious because you were a Mark 19 gunner, especially. This is something we ran into, and I don't know if you did. We were not carrying enough ammo. We ran out of Mark 19 ammo the first day. And then after that, we never did again because we started carrying double and triple ammo. Did you guys run dry at all?
No, my memory, I always seem to have plenty of Mark ammo. Now, I don't know if I was a little more conservative or picky with my targets, but I tried to engage people when I saw them. I'm not saying other people didn't, but I didn't know. I never ran out of ammunition. We always seemed to have plenty of it, but I don't know if I was using the ammunition sparingly or wait until I saw a good viable target before I engaged. I mean, there was times where I gave covering fire, suppressive fire, but no, I never seemed to run low on any ammunition or anything.
Nice.
Did you have a secondary on your turret? I know some of our guys had a saw mounted on the backside so they could just flip around if they wanted to use something else.
No, and in hindsight, I wish I would have. All I had was an M9, Beretta M9 with a magazine that didn't work. No, I didn't have any other secondary weapon or anything.
Fair.
So looking back, we kind of jumped through May and June. Was there any nothing really stands out for you for May? There was a few things that happened, but I don't know how much. I honestly don't know how much Map 3 was involved because we were so fucking busy that I couldn't keep track of everything.
Yeah, those major engagements, those are kind of what stand out in my head. 20-something years later.
Yeah,
I'm sure there was a lot of smaller, minor. We got attacked when we were up on the North Dam, up on the machine gun position, which was kind of funny. I mean, just smaller engagements, really, but nothing really major that I remember.
Well, yeah, you're talking about being up on North Bridge and getting shot at. It sounds like everybody has a story of that. I never went up there, so I don't have one.
Yeah, I remember me and the guy I was up there with. I can't remember who it was. We were there in the morning and we were arguing like, hey, if we get attacked, who's going to get what weapon? Because there was an AT-4 rocket up there. There was the 240 Golf. The guy that I was with had an M203 grenade launcher. And what's funny is we're joking about who's going to shoot what. And then later that morning, that's when all those rockets came inbound and hit Hurricane Point and set like the motor pool on fire. And
oh yeah,
okay.
So yeah, we saw all these rockets getting fired off from that village, I believe, on the north side of the river, and yeah, we jumped on those guns and we led into the neighborhood. I remember I shot like a 100-round belt through the 240 Golf, and then the other guy was like, he wanted to get some on it, so we reloaded the machine gun. I kind of walked him through it. All right, here, it's loaded for you. It's like dealing with your son with a BB gun, ready to go. So he gets on that 240 and he's rocking and rolling with it, and I grabbed the AT-4 rocket and fired that off into the village. I mean, we were just like, fuck it. We're going to dump everything we have. We're shooting the grenades from the 203 into it. I mean, we could look back over our shoulder and kind of see all the damage they had done to our base. So we're like, hey, we're going to give the damage back to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really, I mean, again, I don't know how much they aimed anything, but that was a damn successful attack. They hit several Humvees, and then that Connex box was full of gear and batteries and all kinds of shit that was.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was important and burned like hell for the rest of the day. Well, you talked a little about Condi in July and then your major engagement later in July. Do you remember much out of August as we were sort of winding down?
No, I remember there were some ambushes at nighttime where we would get ambushed on Michigan, and it's at night. You can't see what the hell's going on. I just remember thinking like, I've been through all this and I'm going to get killed on some stupid ass night ambush, and I'm going to get hit with some stray round and not be able to live to tell my story. I just remember some night ambushes going on and over there by Saddam's mosque, and
any of them seem
really major.
Any of them memorable, or were they just like random? They dump a mag and run off into the darkness.
They would stay and fight. I remember I think we were escorting like a Hercules, one of those tank recovery tanks. Army tank, and we got engaged. And I remember I was engaged in some buildings, like danger close with that mark. And I remember it was like fireworks going off. I mean, it was like the 4th of July. I was hitting the top of these buildings. I mean, they had to have been like at minimal distance for those grenades to arm. I remember that. I think Ortiz on our platoon grabbed an AT-4. What's funny is he wanted to shoot it, I think, the entire deployment. When he fires it, it like lands 20 feet in front of him and goes skipping down the road. It's like, you had your chance and you didn't make a better shot than that. And then that damn tank almost run our Humvee over, because it's an Army and they're non-infantry guys. They're just going to put it and drive and haul ass. So I'll tell Daniels, hey, let's get back in the fight. So Daniels is flying in reverse in the Humvee, and I remember looking back, and out of nowhere I see this huge tank coming towards us, and I'm like, cut left. And he cuts the wheel left, and I'm telling you, that tank barely missed us. That tank would have run our ass over. I would have crushed everybody in it, but I remember that happening. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. That was after you guys probably got pulled out, but that's what got us all caught up at the government center at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Is a tank panicked and backed up over top of another Humvee.
Over two Humvees, not one Humvee, two Humvees.
I was told, because we were doing our decompressing over at Blue Diamond. As you can decompress, as you can still hear the battle going on. But I was told that one of those Humvees that was run over was actually was our Humvee that we gave over to 2-5. I obviously I don't know the truth of that, but that's what I was told.
No, that's 100% accurate. Yeah, and it was two Humvees, and they were both full of Marines. One was a high back, one was a regular closed Humvee.
Yeah, I guess the closed one was our Humvee. I guess we handed it off, and what did it last 2 days, and they got run over by a tank. Well,
Yep. And they were backing up from a couple of RPG shots and went right over two Humvees, right in the middle of the market.
Was anybody injured in that?
No,
they
bailed out. Yeah, they just jumped out.
That fucking tank tabletop that sells too on the jersey barrier separating the things. That's why they couldn't pull. So we had to stick around for them to try to pull out the two Humvees, plus get the tank down off of the jersey barriers. But anyways, I think my memories is that you're given the little bit of generous of it was an RPG. I had heard that it was a small arms fire that he panicked on.
And you're in the safest vehicle on planet Earth is a fucking tank. Like, put me in a tank.
It's not just a tank, but an M1 Abrams tank, like the actual most armored thing on the battlefield. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. The only reason why I say it was an RPG is because the lieutenant from 2-5 that was with us got wounded by an RPG right before that. So I assume the RPG had also shot at the tank, but maybe it didn't. You might also be correct. It might have just been some AK rounds.
That was a messy day, but anyways, that's for a different day, different story.
That's awesome.
Actually, what I remember a lot of, and you talking made me realize how many of my memories are the day taskable, night task. Although QRF, you definitely ran out for a lot of stuff, but our bread and butter was the taskables, just escorting somebody somewhere or making a run. Do you have any memories specifically of any of those? I know those for us, it was always that meant better chow because we'd either end or start in at a Junction City or Blue Diamond. So
yeah, I remember a lot of it were just like some night operations. Probably a lot of those bug hunts where we get out there in the middle of the night and the sun's coming up, and now we're doing sweeps through villages. And a lot of that for me was just sitting up in the turret, doing overhead security for all the dismounts.
Was it hard to keep your head in the game? Since it was being dismount, you gotta change the scenery a little bit more, but
well, then you're around all the fucking higher ups when you can't leave the Humvee and you're around all, it's like, I just need a fucking break. And not from warfare, but being around people. Like some first sergeant's walking by and he's pissed because you're having a cigarette. And it's like, you think I'm going to get fucking lung cancer up here? Like, can you just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone? Like, a lot of it was just the annoying shit like that. But
sure.
But after April 6th, you kind of don't give a shit. It's like, okay, well, you're going to NJP me.
Right.
I'll have another cigarette, thanks. But And I remember we drove around a lot, like a lot of the battles, a lot of the patrols. And I remember seeing all the O311s. You know, a lot of those guys I was friends with through SOI. And those dudes looked exhausted all the time. And I remember, how lucky am I to be able to be in a weapons company, being able to be in a Humvee, not having to walk everywhere. Yeah. Although it was probably more dangerous for us with IEDs. But I guess if I was going to die, I wouldn't have died tired.
Yeah, it was. I thought the same thing. It was a toss up because, I mean, being quick reaction, anytime the line companies got into it, we went out and we were part of that fight. And so we had exponentially more fights. However, as you said, and I thought the same thing at the time was, well, at least I'm not hoofing it 10 miles a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could have weighed 300 pounds and I would have been fine.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Yeah, reading some of those accounts of what the Echo Company guys were doing for patrols was insane. Like they were putting on, I mean, 6, miles, 7, 8, 10 miles in a day, covering those areas, which is
I don't know how they didn't burn through the boots, man. That was
no kidding.
Yeah. Or how do you carry enough water to support yourself for, 100 plus temperature days? Yeah, just brutal.
Yeah, I remember they'd be all laid up on the berms on Route Nova, and you could just tell they had, like, physically, had their asses kicked by all the humping and stuff. And here I am over here, drinking a fucking Rip It in the turret, like, hey guys,
you want a cold water bottle?
Yeah, I have an extra one. Do you want
it? You can laugh about it 20 years later, but I'm sure they would still kick you if you did it.
Yeah.
It's like that. Remember that scene from the Three Amigos where I think it's Chevy Chase is like wasting all the water.
Yeah. Well, you talked about trying to get away from people. Did you have much downtime, and do you remember anything specifically from like how you kind of killed your time besides cleaning the Mark 19?
Dude, that my memory is I was out there all the time cleaning that thing. I mean, obviously I'm listening to music on my CD player, and I always seem to be out there just cleaning that. I mean, just cleaning all the carbon off of it and putting CLP on it, and a lot of my memory is that. I read a lot of books too. I would lay in the rack and read books. And
yeah, what kind of stuff do you read?
I was a lot of war books.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
That's funny.
Yeah, a lot of Vietnam, a lot of World War II books. I've always been super into that stuff. It's ironic, I'm reading about Vietnam as I'm laying in Iraq, but
yeah,
it's like it's fucking weird. But anyway, yeah, I've read a lot of books and stuff.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I listened to everything. I mean, all that crappy music that was popular in the early 2000s is probably what I was listening to over there. But
yeah.
I listen to everything. So yeah, I don't really have a genre that I like more than another.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Blake? Sorry, I'm stepped on you a minute.
Oh no, I was also a little bit of a reader over there, and there was a book that got passed around for a while. It was The Old Guard. Did you end up reading that one?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, that got passed around early on and got everybody super motivated. It was about an SS guy that went Foreign Legion and then went to Vietnam. And
yes, go ahead.
Oh, just the tactics that he was talking about. It's supposed to be a true story, but the tactics that they were employing that ripped through us. And I know a couple of us were like, "Fuck NA, this is how we're going to start doing it." And I think we started adopting some of the tactics on that one.
Now that you mentioned that book, I didn't know that was the title, but yeah, I did read that book. It was the SS. They were, I guess, with the French Foreign Legion?
Yeah, they were
fighting the insurgents.
Right. Well, the idea is that the SS guys after World War II needed a new identity, and so they go to the French Foreign Legion, get their new identity, but they ended up going to Indochina, and so they the story ends with the U.S. coming in and him offering up his services, but they were like, no, that's too aggressive. Much like what happened to us, where the unit came behind us was like, well, you guys are too aggressive, and
kept us alive.
And and it had them on the, in the book, it had the Viet Cong on their back heel, much like we had our guys on the back heel. But anyways, it was a good book.
Yeah, I did read that book. I just forgot that was the title. Yes.
So you talked about you called home and you talked to your dad a little bit. Did you keep in contact with a lot of people from back home and get a lot of care packages, or you just kind of off on your own?
Oh yeah, a very supportive family. My dad's a retired lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps.
I didn't
So
know
I got
that. Yeah, I probably knew that back then, but I forgot now.
I think everybody knew that back then. I was like, yeah. My twin brother was an 0311. My older brother, he was a captain in the Marine Corps. My uncle was a major. He was an 03 officer. I got lots of care packages, lots of beef jerky. They seem to be coming in probably every week. That was probably, one of my dad's probably hobbies was going and shopping for me and sending me stuff. So very, very supportive network back home. So
that's cool, man. That sounds like a family business. Have you guys talked much about deployment at all?
Yeah, I remember when we got home, telling my dad some of the stories over there and stuff, but yeah.
Nice. And have they now, it sounds like your dad is older than you clearly, but your brother and all that stuff, anybody else deploy? And have you guys have similar experiences?
So yeah, my twin brother, he's an 0311. He deployed once to Iraq and then once to Afghanistan. And then my older brother, he was an officer. He was a captain. He was an MP. He deployed to Iraq twice. And then we have a brother-in-law, my sister's husband. He's a AC-130 gunship pilot. He's actually a colonel right now. And, cool. They do deployments, all the time. So he was deployed with the AC-1 gunship to, when they destroyed ISIS, and then a bunch of other deployments. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
That is
did you stay in, or did you just do the one tour?
No, I did my 4-year enlistment, got out and went straight to college and did 4 years of college and got a degree. So,
well, and then you would have gotten back. You would have had enough time that you went on the Oki deployment, right? And then
yes, I went to Okinawa, and then we did our second deployment to Iraq right when the last year I was in. So we went to Haditha, or particularly went to Barwana, which is a small village next to Haditha. That was our second Iraq deployment.
Rock on.
Nice, man. Anything else come to mind that you want to go over specifically? Otherwise, I'll pick your brain a little bit more, but I don't want to.
No, just anything you want to ask. Of course, I know when I get off this phone call, everything will start coming to my mind. All the things that I probably forgot to talk about or things I can't talk about. But anything else you want to know about? Just
specifically, you kind of talked about balancing your mission objectives and not doing too much, but you have to shoot into buildings. Do you have any close calls with civilians where you felt like, you had to check fire, or you had to sort of balance the mission objectives versus not tearing the whole place down to the ground? Because we weren't doing that initially.
No, and I have no. It always seemed to me when the battle or when the ambush was kicking off, the civilians were nowhere to be found. It was pretty much everyone out there was either fighting or helping the fight, so they were kind of clear game with it. I don't remember seeing a whole lot of civilians around once the fight started kicking off. I'm sure they were giving a heads up.
Did you end up getting hurt over there? Did you get wounded?
No. So we had a car bomb go off on my Humvee. It was sometime in the summer in front of, it was in the downtown area. I remember seeing a car up front, and I looked out of place, and this civilian car actually went around our convoy and cut us off. And when they cut in front of my Humvee, this car bomb went off and actually killed these guys inside of this car, these civilians. And I remember the fireball rolled over the top of the Humvee and it burnt the front part of my face up on my lips. But that's the only time, so to speak, I guess I was injured. Car bomb missed us.
Did you get a Purple Heart for that?
No, I went to the doc took me to the corpsman to document it because I had burn marks around my lips, and pretty much the corpsman, they documented it in the in my health file or whatever. But no, nothing ever came of it.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So as far as coming home, do you remember what it felt like coming home?
It was very, very strange. I was actually going through some old pictures the other day, and there's pictures of me and my family. We're at the hotel in California, and we were talking about, Blue Diamond doing the decompressing. I could still hear the firefights raging in the city, and the Humvee get run over by the tank. And, it's weird. It's 2 days later, you're sitting in a hot tub in, San Clemente, and it's like you're on another planet, and you're just looking at everyone thinking like you have no idea like the environment I had just come from, where every day, I think I'm gonna die or I'm prepared to die, and then now you're having a beer in the hot tub and everyone's having a good time. So kind of a strange feeling.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Did it ever get normal, or did you feel weird for a long period of time?
Probably still feel weird to this day. No, I guess
that's not wrong. I do. So yeah.
Nothing ever got normal after that, because you hit that pinnacle of your life at the age of 19, or when you're young, and then the rest of your entire life, it's like nothing ever matches that, or nothing ever comes close to that, the feeling you had when you were out there, which is probably a good thing. And maybe having kids helps, and you get to raise them and kind of enjoy the things, the happiness that they bring you. But I mean, you can't really top April 6th, April 7th. Like, you go through that, it's like, what else can you do? Like skydive without a parachute? I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah.
You still keep in contact with people from your platoon?
I keep in contact with, it's so weird. A lot of the guys I went to SOI with, I'm still really good friends with. A lot of them went to 2-1, so they were in Fallujah. I keep in contact with a couple guys from MAP 3, a lot of guys from, the other companies. But as far as MAP 3, we're on a thread, and we talk every now and again, check in on each other. But I seem to be a lot closer with my Marine Corps buddies, guys that I was in boot camp with, because we also happened to go to SOI together, and we all just stayed in contact, throughout the years.
Nice.
It's interesting how little pockets pop up like that, but it's kind of the same with me. Like I've talked to the same 5 or 6 people, but again, I haven't talked to you in 20 years, but I used to talk to you damn near every other day, in 2004. So it's weird. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, speaking of that, 20 years on, what is, and you kind of touched on it, but more specifically, what does all this mean to you when you think back on it?
I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about it. You kind of look at the state Iraq is in right now. Is it better? Is it worse? I don't know. But just trying to move on with your life, for me specifically, getting older, having a family, raising kids, and staying busy with work and hobbies. And, it's kind of sad to say maybe that's a chapter in my life I've, kind of put behind me. I don't think about it much. I've got a lot of friends at work that were Marines, and even with them, I don't talk about it a whole lot. But they know that I was in Ramadi, and they know the history of Ramadi, but we don't ever really get into details or talk about any of the stories or anything. But it's just, maybe it's just a past life. I don't know.
Do you feel like you can't talk to them, or do you just avoid it? Just because you're ready to close the book, like you said.
No, I definitely could talk to him about it, but it's like, what, I guess at what point, what does it matter to, I mean, it's like, what is it? Well, we always joke, like, you got any war stories? We're all just laughing around the campfire or whatever. But, I mean, if they asked, I would talk to them about it, but it kind of musters up some bad feelings and, some tragic times, but yeah, I mean, if they ever wanted to talk, I definitely would. But they got their own stories. Those guys were in Afghanistan and stuff like that. But so
yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing today.
Thank you.
It's nice. You filled in a lot of details. You filled in a lot of parts that some people will never know, and some other stuff that I don't think I'd ever heard. At least a few things. Anything else you want to cover while we're here and recording, or you want to wrap it up?
Just, you guys are doing a good thing. You guys are, you're reaching out to guys, and you're recording history that, one day is going to be lost. And I think you guys are doing a good thing, documenting everybody's experience. It's one day, and 20 years from now, our kids and grandkids might want to hear some of these stories, and you guys are doing a really good job documenting it.
Thanks, man. That's the hope, dude. That's the hope, is that if you want somebody to hear it, it'll be.
If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.